You're not getting ghosted at work because you're rude. You're getting ghosted because your communication is broken and you've never been taught how to fix it. Whether you're a manager or a team member, your ability to communicate clearly, confidently, calmly is one of your greatest career assets. And by the end of this video, you're going to be armed with 5 ways to improve your communication starting today. Let's dive in. Let's first start with why I think most communication fails in the workplace. You know, it's an interesting thing. It's like we're never really taught how to be really strong, powerful communicators when we're entering the workforce. It's almost just this assumption that you know how to communicate with others, and it's something that you just pick up along the way. But the reality is it's a trainable skill. And I'll tell you, in my many years of working in corporations and now, leading a consultancy that works with some of the largest enterprises in the world, here's what I see as the most common reasons for communication to break down. Number 1, unclear intent. 2, there's an emotional disconnection. And 3, there's either misaligned timing or tone of the message. And I'll tell you this, in high stress or environments where there's a lot of change, a lot of growth, a lot of volatility, which is basically happening for all of us nowadays, poor communication really gets amplified. And the result is that it drives down morale, it slows your momentum, and it begins to erode trust throughout your team or throughout the organization. So now let's dive into 5 tips to help you improve your communication starting right now. Tip number 1 is start with your intention in mind, not just the information that you want to relay. And this is really about asking yourself, what is it that I want to achieve through this message, whether you're speaking it, whether it's an email, and really ask yourself, what's the impact that I want this message to have? Am I trying to inform? Am I trying to understand? Am I trying to collaborate? Am I trying to influence or inspire? Get really clear on what that intention is so that you have the best chance of aligning your intent with the desired impact. The second tip is to mirror the mode to the message. And what I mean by that is depending on the message itself, what type of a platform are you going to use to communicate it, right? So if it's something that's just really quick to inform the team, maybe you're using Slack. If it's something that has a lot of weight to it and the entire team or the whole enterprise needs to hear, maybe it's a live Zoom chat or a live call. If it's something that's private feedback, perhaps it's one-on-one with a phone call or a Zoom message. And another thing that really helps, and this is something that my team has done and I loved it, is we created a communication charter. So we actually sat with the team and talked about all the different platforms that we can use, email, text, phone calls, Zoom, Slack, and we determined what we want to use that platform for. And so it's a guideline for the team to help us understand how are we using different avenues of communication. And by going through this exercise, I was able to better understand how my team actually likes to receive information. And it's really helped us really gel as a team. So if you don't have a comms charter, perhaps that's something that you can recommend to your leader or present out to your organization. There's lots of fun ways that you can do this, and you can find it all over the web. The third tip, and I like this one, it's using an emotion sandwich as the framing for your message. So what do I mean by this? At the start of your message, start by naming the emotion that you think this message is going to inspire. An example would be, I imagine that this might feel a little bit frustrating, or I imagine that this is going to cause a bit of irritation or maybe even some anger in you. And then once you acknowledge the emotion that might get inspired, clearly state the information, right? And don't try to sugarcoat, don't try to withhold information, state very clearly and plainly what you need to relay. And then end with an affirmation that might help to shift the emotional energy. Meaning, say something like, this is how I anticipate us moving forward, or here's what I see as our next steps. This ending part of the sandwich is what's going to bring a bit of safety and more clarity about how you continue moving forward. The fourth tip is so important. Asking, what did you hear? As opposed to, do you have any questions? This is really powerful for you to understand the message, the intention that you were hoping to drive. Was it actually the impact that was achieved? So asking, what did you hear? They're going to be able to play back exactly what they heard. And then you can see if there's misalignment. Ooh, that's not what I meant. Let me try that again. And I want to tie this back to that first tip. Remember how I talked about having clear intentions and trying to align that intent with your impact? Using this tip is going to help to inform future messaging, right? Because so often mistakes, things getting derailed, trust getting eroded is when your intent is misaligned with your impact. So the more that you can build feedback, that you can build data on how you're doing at aligning what you intend with the actual impact achieved, the better and more effective your communication will be. The fifth and final tip is to practice emotional transparency and do it in a responsible way. And what I mean by that is don't sugarcoat your message. Don't withhold information out of fear that it's going to upset the individual, that they're going to take it the wrong way. It is your responsibility to share very openly and honestly what it is that you need to convey, whether or not it's going to have a really big impact on that individual. Treat your employees, your team members, your stakeholders, your partners as the adults that they are. They don't want you to try to protect their feelings. They want you to be open and honest, and then acknowledge and recognize if feelings have been inspired. And ensure that you're also conveying things in a very authentic way. And this can kind of get to that emotion sandwich that I was talking about before, but you can start communication with, "This was not an easy decision for me," or "This is something that I myself am still processing, but this is what I know today." That emotional transparency is going to build trust, and ultimately it's going to invite and model vulnerability without oversharing. And it is such a powerful skill to show your vulnerability to those that you work with, because it's opening up a conduit for their emotional energy to flow, and it creates a zone of safety and openness for all. And as a bonus tip, I want to talk to you who maybe struggles communicating up the chain and struggles to find ways to influence your manager or even levels above your manager. I talked about that framing of intent versus impact. That is one of the best ways to frame a communication when you're striving to influence up the ladder. You say things like, "This is the impact that our focus areas, that my deliverables is having on me, and I'm guessing that's not your full intent. Well, I actually have some ideas on how we can better match your intention and your impact. And this is the best way to do this. Their intention is to make sure they're meeting their deliverables, right? So when you can speak to what they care about, what they're motivated by, what they're incentivized by, and then offer suggestions or ways to match that impact that they're after, they're gonna have their ears open. I've seen this happen so many times. It can be so effective. You wanna make sure that you're in line and in tune with what your audience is being incentivized by and how they're motivated. And I've used this mantra not only when I was leading in corporate and having an influence up the chain, but also now as a professional speaker. When I'm standing in front of thousands of people and I'm trying to influence or inspire them, I need to know, okay, what do they care about? What are their motivators? What are they struggling with? Where do they really need support? So I can meet them where they are and then bring them to where they wish to go. That's the best way that you can do that when influencing up an organization. So now that you've got these tips and you're about to be a rockin' communicator, I've got a gift, something for free. Click the link below. You're going to get a free chapter of my book, Change Enthusiasm: How to Harness the Power of Emotion for Leadership and Success. It's an introduction to the mindset, this growth mindset that's going to help you nurture resiliency. And if you want to pick up the whole book, there's actually a whole chapter dedicated to communication. So until we meet again and you click on another one of my videos, I want you to keep smiling, keep feeling, keep communicating in a calm and a confident manner. And above all else, keep rocking.